All right, what's good, y'all? What's bracklacking, man? We up late night Monday. Let's talk about it. Oh, man, the homie Jason Voorhees is back, and he's going to be more brutal than ever because he is coming back to Halloween Horror Nights. So let's get to it. Let's not waste no time. I'm going to show you the clip. This was announced on Friday the 13th. Shout out to Horror Nights for using common sense. Shout out to Universal for using common sense and deciding to announce the OG, the big homie, coming back to Horror Nights. So here we go. Yeah, here we go.
Live the horror you love to watch at Universal Halloween Horror Nights, featuring Jason Universe and more. Live the horror you love to watch at Universal Halloween Horror Nights, featuring Jason Universe and more.
Ooh, let's go. Let's go. Jason is fucking back. Let's fucking go. Let's fucking go. I've been waiting for this man to come back since 2017 when he was originally part of the Titans of Terror, the Terror Tram, and the Maze. Now, the Maze featured Freddy Krueger, Jason Voorhees, and Leatherface. But the Terror Tram was hosted by Chucky. Yes, 2017. It is now 2025, which means it's been at least 8 years since this man has been back, since this Mongoloid has been back to wreak havoc. Let's get it in. Let's get it in. Yeah. All right. I'm so excited. Oh God, I'm so excited. Give me a second, y'all. I gotta go back to Horror Nights. Give me that. Okay. Let's see. See what details can we get? Okay. The iconic horror villain Jason Voorhees is coming for you. Step into his terrifying world from his sinister shack in the woods to the summer camp where it all began. Get your Halloween Horror Nights tickets now, because it's the Jason universe. Yes, the Jason universe. Now, some of y'all wondering, why is it called the Jason universe? Why is it not just called the Legacy of Voorhees? Well, I alluded to this in previous live streaming videos. So now we're going to turn it into a full live streaming video about why it's called the Jason universe. So now that we know that it's called the Jason universe, let's get to it. So what I'm going to start off with is give me a second, y'all. Okay, I know what I'm gonna do, y'all. I know what I'm gonna do. Hold on a second. Hold on. So I'm gonna add. Hold on. Hold on, y'all. All right. Almost there. I'm going to share with y'all. Yeah, the dispute. Okay. So y'all see that? I'm gonna make it a full screen. Okay, so I'm going to try to make this as quick as possible for y'all. So shout out to AI for making this a very quick summary. All right, so I'll read it for y'all. Let me make sure everything's good. Okay. Friday the 13th lawsuit primarily revolved around the copyright ownership of the screenplay for the original film. Yes, the original, where Pamela Voorhees was the killer, with Victor Miller ultimately winning the right to the U.S. rights to his screenplay. This case also involves Sean Cunningham, the director of the first film, and Horror Inc., which had previously held the rights to the screenplay. The lawsuit had implications for future Jason Voorhees and Friday the 13th projects, as well as the Friday the 13th, the game online game. Okay, so here's a more detailed breakdown. The court issued screenplay copyright. The lawsuit centered on the copyright to the original Friday the 13th screenplay written by Victor Miller. A court ruled that the screenplay was not a work for hire, meaning Miller's termination notices effectively ended Horror Inc.'s rights to the copyright. As a result, Miller regained ownership of the screenplay and the characters associated with it in the United States. Sean Cunningham's role. Sean Cunningham, the director of the first film, also had a stake in the lawsuit as he held some rights to certain aspects of the franchise. He was involved in a separate lawsuit against Paramount and Warner Brothers, alleging that they improperly calculated payments owed to him for licensing the Friday the 13th franchise. Cunningham is alleging that the studios engage in Hollywood accounting, potentially underreporting profits and licenses to reduce his payouts. Impact on future projects. The lawsuit's outcome has implications for future Friday the 13th films and projects as it clarified the copyright ownership of key elements of the franchise. New Line Cinema owns the trademark for the name Friday the 13th, Jason Voorhees, and Crystal Lake, adding another layer of complexity. Horror Inc. still holds rights to the first movie outside the US, which hence to why they're making a Crystal Lake show on Peacock, which is a prequel. Next, Friday the 13th, the game. The online video game, Friday the 13th, the game was impacted by the lawsuit. The game's developer, Gun Media, lost the Friday the 13th license in 2023, leading to the shutdown of the game's servers in December 2024. Ongoing legal battles. While the original lawsuit regarding the screenplay is resolved, the other legal battles related to the franchise continue, including Cunningham's lawsuit against Paramount. These ongoing legal issues can further complicate the production of new Friday the 13th projects. Yeah. Okay. In essence, the Friday the 13th lawsuit was a complex legal battle with significant implications for the future of the franchise, particularly regarding the ownership of key elements like the screenplay, characters, and trademarks. Oh, man. Okay. So that is essentially what went wrong in the first place. So Miller, he got the rights because he did write the script. Sean Cunningham was trying to argue that it was just work for hire, but that wasn't the case. The court was on Miller's side. Now, if you remember, I'm not going to show the DMs, but if you remember, let me go back to let me see something. Oh, I'm going to show you the Robert Barsamian dude. So give me a second. All right. Let's go back. Let's share another screen. Yeah, here we go. All right. So that's Robert Barsamian. Okay. So before I read him off and his bio, let me show y'all something. Read. I'm about to read y'all some DMs real quick. I read this before, but I want to read this again because now it actually makes sense. Oh, okay. So this is a conversation I had with someone. Well, you know what? I'll say it. It was with Hollowed Out Horror, but I'm not going to show the screenshots. So this is the conversation, or part of the conversation that we had. I said this was May 5th, a Monday. So make this clear. This was a month now and some change. All right. So here we go. I said Friday the 13th is really surprising me. He then says, or this person that's part of the group says, which part? It seems like a best of type house. I don't understand the reason for it. Why now? The formation of Jason Company and their desire to push him out and get more money. I'll show me. Yeah, get more money after him being locked behind lawsuits. Lawsuits are over. The lawsuits resolved, and they split Jason into two entities. Victor Miller owns the domestic rights and formed a company with one of the producers who controls the sequels to ensure Jason lives on. There's still some ongoing stuff. I said, wow, good for Victor. The fans want more Jason. Then he says, seems like Sean is still being a bitch. Bitch. But Rob Barsamian is playing ball with him because he seems to realize the lawsuits and absolutely nothing going on from the franchise isn't as profitable as the franchise going on and making money. Why is Sean behaving that way? Didn't he start a franchise? He then says he was the OG producer of the series and director of one. He's not suing anymore, but just seems sort of butthurt over the situation burying Miller. Then I said I did some research. Miller won the case for the rights to the first film. Sean S. Cunningham still has the rights to the IP afterwards. Rob has the rights to the adult Jason. He then replies, yeah, and Sean S. Cunningham holds the rights through his production company, Horror Inc. Sean S. Cunningham retired at some point and no longer operates Horror Inc., and Rob has taken over and is president of the company. Sean's out just due to retirement, it seems. Then he says, because I said now it makes sense. He said, yeah, it took me asking the right questions to get that finally left my ass off. I think Sean was named in the lawsuits just because it all happened under his leadership, but the JC Universe company is a joint venture between Miller and Horror Inc. Then I said, I wonder why Rob wouldn't just get a movie greenlit first, then TV show. I would have rebooted the franchise like Matt Reeves with the Batman universe. That's me saying that. He then says or responds, I'm not too sure, to be honest. I think they could be worried about fucking it up like so many modern sequels. Then we start talking about the Halloween series. So yeah, that's my conversation with Hollowed Out Horror. So shout out to them for real, because we had that conversation prior, and I really had a hard time believing that this IP would come back. I really did not think Jason was coming back, and I was low key kind of mad because at first it was only on the spec map for Universal Orlando. So I'm like, why the fuck they getting the exclusive rights and not Hollywood? Like that's usually a Hollywood thing. So, but it's for both coasts. So shout out to Orlando, and obviously shout out to Hollywood. You feel me? So let's get to it, man. Let's get to it. Full screen. All right, I'm gonna read this for y'all. Give me a second. So this is Robert P. Barsamian. He is the one who owns Horror Inc., real estate and entertainment executive, OVP management, and Horror Inc. All right, this is his profile on LinkedIn, so you can see this. This is public. I'm gonna get to the part where he gets to Horror Inc. Okay, so he says, I currently hold dual executive roles as executive vice president at Horror Inc. and vice president at OVP Management Inc. as incorporated. As executive vice president at Horror Inc., I lead the revitalization of the iconic Friday the 13th franchise. The 2024 launch of the Jason Universe brand is ushering in an era of expansion across new entertainment, gaming, immersive experiences, and merchandise with global partners such as NBC Universal and A24. My focus ranges from global planning to analyzing new opportunities, deal making, and building strategic partnerships. I am the third generation of the Barsamian family to lead Horror Inc., the original owners of the 44-year-old Friday the 13th film franchise spanning 12 movies, television series, video games, collectible merchandise, comic books, and more. Yeah. So that's the gist of it for his LinkedIn. So now that you see that, I do want to make a correction because this was before this year that he had that profile. This is the 45th anniversary of Jason Voorhees, literally June the 13th. Well, it's 2025, but literally, this is the 45th anniversary of Jason Voorhees. And like I say, it was announced on Friday. I did not think it was going to happen after stuff I was reading. And I think they literally caught everybody off guard. I think they knew they was going to do it, but they wanted to be a surprise for everybody. So shout out to Universal once again, and shout out to Horror Nights in totality. Shout out to them. But yeah, this is the 45th year. So I think that's one of the main reasons. And like I just read, Rob Barsamian wants to bring Jason Voorhees to modern day. And I'm going to give credit to Damien Leone. Shout out to Damien Leone, aka Terrifier. I think we are in a new era of the slashers. And I think that Rob sees this and he goes, oh, Art the Clown is doing his thing. So let me bring Jason to the masses. Let me bring him back. Let me, like he said, revitalize him. And stay tuned because Terrifier will be announced at Halloween Horror Nights this year. Just wait on it. It will be announced. So you're gonna have two slashers. You're gonna have the OG and the new king of the slasher films in today's era. So that's gonna be dope as fuck. Dope as fuck. Yeah, so now that I got that out the way, that I read that to y'all, let's see what else. I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna share another. Screen with y'all. Give me a second, y'all. Let's go to Vangoria. I sound like the Grudge right now. I don't know why. Anyways, y'all see that? Okay, so I'll read it all for y'all. Friday the 13th is coming to Halloween Horror Nights with new Jason Universe Hunt. The legendary slasher embarks on a vengeance tour around Universal Studios Hollywood and Universal Studios Florida. Jason Universe. This was updated this Monday by Angel Mallinson. Shout out to that person. Halloween Horror Nights is resurrecting Jason Voorhees for a vengeance tour around Universal Studios Hollywood and Universal Studios Florida with a newly announced Friday the 13th Jason Universe Horror Maze. Unveiled today as part of the Friday the 13th franchise's 45-year anniversary celebrations. Jason Universe Hunt is the third maze announced for this year's event, joining Fallout and Five Nights at Freddy's as immersive experiences for the bravest of horror fans. Per an official press release, Jason Universe will take Halloween Horror Nights guests on a vengeance tour throughout the summer camp to see where it all began, from the creaking floorboards of Jason's ramshackle cabin to the decaying main lodge in the eerie forest that offers no refuge for his victims. Around every corner, fans will be inundated with infamous killer moments from Jason's heinous homicidal career as he taunts and stalks his victims who learn too late that the legend is real. New merch and limited release Friday the 13th items will also be up for grabs from June 14th right here. This year's Halloween Horror Nights event will kick off on August 29th at Universal Orlando Resort and September 4th at Universal Studios Hollywood. For more information and to grab tickets, head over to the official Halloween Horror Nights site. Where's that sound coming from? What? Did y'all just hear that? I know y'all heard that. It's been recorded live. I don't know where that sound came from, but I'm gonna watch out because I think Jason is around the corner. Oh man, this is wild. This is so wild. Let me see if I can find anything else. Let's see. Oh man, I'm trying to see if I can find any more information about the property. Uh, oh, okay. You know what? I'm gonna share this collider joint with y'all. Yes, sir. See, I'm almost there. Collider, bring the ass here. Okie dokie. So you see that? Oh yeah. All right, y'all. So we're gonna skim through this. I think this will be the last thing we discuss, and then I will do a separate video. Let me put my face back on this thing. After I read this, I will do a separate video on my review of Butcher's Blackout from Queen Mary Dark Harbor, and then I'll add that also in with my experience from last year, Queen Mary Dark Harbor. So I will do that video separately. I want to give all my attention on this specific video to Jason. So now that I said that, let's get back to it. The Friday the 13th lawsuit is messier than you think. All right, let me go up top. Okay, so this was January 6, 2025. All right, I'm going to skim through this. I'm going to find the most important parts and read it to y'all. Horror in the 1980s was all about the slasher craze, and the Friday the 13th franchise was king from 1980 to 1989. An astonishing 8 films about Camp Crystal Lake were pumped out. That slowed down after New Line Cinema bought the rights, fucker, to the franchise from Paramount. Over the next decade, there will only be 3 Jason Voorhees-centered movies, and then the franchise sat dormant until the reboot in 2009. Also called Friday the 13th, the 2009 entry was a success. I did like the film, making $91 million worldwide on a $19 million budget. Yes, that is successful. It is the 12th entry in the series, and the next would be the perfectly titled Friday the 13th, Part 13. With how well the reboot was received, it was just a matter of time before it came to be. Almost a decade and a half later, we're still waiting. Fuck. Let's see. With the success of John Carpenter's Halloween in 1978, director Sean S. Cunningham decided to blatantly rip it off. Ooh, you a copycat. You a copycat. You an imitator, Cunningham. That's what they saying. You better get a collider for this. With his own slasher movie, 1980s Friday the 13th. At first, all he had was a title with no story. Cunningham had written before, but directing is where he made his mark, with the 70s spent going from directing sexploitation films to family sports comedies. Victor Miller was then brought in to write the screenplay, which he won that case. For Friday the 13th, it wasn't Miller's first time working with Cunningham, as he wrote the director's previous 2 films as well, Manny's Orphans and Here Come the Tigers. The Tigers. Okay. Those might not have been big hits, but Friday the 13th sure would be. It was anything but a Halloween clone. It trading in suburbia for the woods of a summer camp, and its killer was a mystery. Rather than knowing exactly who we're dealing with, like Michael Myers and Halloween, Friday the 13th is a whodunit, resulting in the shocking reveal that a middle-aged woman named Pamela Voorhees, Betsy Palmer, is the one killing off camp counselors as revenge for other counselors not paying attention, resulting in her young son Jason's drowning decades before. Oh, the writer and the director of the original Friday the 13th fought over ownership. Fuck. Friday the 13th was a big hit, making nearly $40 million. That success meant sequels, with another one come out the very next year. Miller wouldn't be involved ever again in the franchise, but Cunningham stuck around, not as a director, but as a producer of the later New Line Cinema films. There were no issues until decades later, when Miller decided to fight for his rights, decided to fight for what he was owed. The way he saw it as the writer of the Friday the 13th, He deserved ownership, especially considering the copyright law of 1976, which said an author of a work after 35 years can petition for a transfer of the copyright. It wouldn't be that simple. Cunningham fought back, claiming to be the owner of Friday the 13th. His reasoning was that Victor Miller was nothing more than a work-for-hire writer. It was Cunningham's idea. Miller simply was the employee hired to write it. Who won the Friday the 13th lawsuit? Well, we already know because I discussed that before. But anyways, Miller disagreed that his work was a work for a hire writer. According to his lawyer, the script was commissioned as part of a film, and there was never anything presented to Miller that said that the script was a work made for hire. Cunningham and the film's producers said that Cunningham was behind every creative and financial decision, and that a standard WGA form agreement would have shown Miller that he was Cunningham's employee. In 2018, a U.S. District Court judge ruled in favor of Victor Miller. He agreed that the screenplay for Friday the 13th wasn't a made for hire work. It was his ruling. His ruling that Miller was an independent contractor. That was a big win for Miller, but not the end of his fight, as Cunningham would quickly appeal. The lawsuit thankfully came to a complete end in September 2021. It was here that the Second U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals held up Victor Miller's win that he was an independent contractor and not an employee of Cunningham's hired to write the screenplay. This meant that he reclaimed the rights to the Friday the 13th franchise. It wasn't a complete win for Miller regarding complete control of the direction of the franchise. Sean S. Cunningham kept control of the foreign rights for one. There was also one more key piece of information that didn't make the steps so clear. What does the lawsuit mean for the future of Friday the 13th? Let's see. For a horror fan, you might think, okay, Victor Miller won. Now get to making some Friday the 13th movies. We miss Jason bringing it back. While Michael Myers was out there in another Halloween trilogy, the last few years, the hockey mask, Jason Voorhees has been dormant. Finally, we're going to get Friday the 13th, part 13 and more right now. So fast, Sean S. Cunningham also kept control of the intellectual property from the Friday the 13th sequels. What does that mean? As Victor Miller only wrote the first movie, he only retained the intellectual property from that project. If Miller wanted to greenlight a movie called Friday the 13th about camp counselors getting killed at Camp Crystal Lake, so be it. There was just one major flaw, though. Jason Voorhees is not in the original Friday the 13th film, as Ghostface will be happy to remind you. It was his mother, Mrs. Voorhees, who was the killer. Miller owned the rights to Pamela Voorhees so he could remake the first film if he liked it, but it became murky as far as Jason goes. Could Victor Miller have a Friday the 13th film made with Jason Voorhees in it when he's not the one who created the character? Jason Voorhees is technically in the first movie seen as a child in the dream sequence at the end that has him jumping out of the lake and attacking final girl Alice Adrienne King. This was Jason as a child, though, not the adult wearing the sack over his head or the hockey mask. Victor Miller may have created Jason, but not the one that has since become an icon. Says Friday the 13th, the game brought back Kane Hodder. Shout out to Kane Hodder. What will the 13th prequel series Crystal Lake look like, which is produced also by A24, which will be debuting on Peacock. A Friday the 13th movie remains in limbo and the video game is no more, but there is one last hope in a TV show. Finally, on Halloween of 2022 came a major announcement. Friday the 13th was coming back in 2024. It wouldn't be as a feature film. However, but an A24 TV series for Peacock called Crystal Lake, Brian Fuller of Hannibal fame would be the showrunner and executive producer, with Victor Miller serving as an executive producer. Even Kevin Williamson, the horror legend who wrote Scream, was going to come in and write an episode. But how did they get around the Jason rights? Well, Crystal Lake is a prequel series that will take place before the events of the first film. Even the star of the first film, Adrienne King, was somehow being brought back in a role. Jason can exist in this world as a child self, and his mother can be there as well. Still means no mass Jason, right? It would seem that it's very clear that this series can't have adult Jason. Fuck. Yeah. Okay, so you got that, but I also talk about the Rob Barsamian situation. So, see if I could type in anything else about Robert Barsamian. Give me a sec, y'all. I'm trying to look for anything more about Robert Barsamian. Yeah, that's pretty much it. That's pretty much it. Okay. All right. So let me end this. So we saw the video, the trailer for Horror Nights about JC Universe. We also discussed several articles about the Friday the 13th dispute, which leads to why it's called JC Universe. We also discussed who Robert Barsamian is and his role with Horror Inc. So, what do I expect from the house? I actually expect it to be similar to the legacy of Voorhees. That's what I personally expect. Now, I think someone, maybe it was HHN 365, they think it's going to be like Chucky, the ultimate kill count. So that could be possible as well. I'm going to assume that it will be closer to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre house from last year, where it basically was a multiverse house and different versions of Leatherface. So that's why I think we're getting, and I want nothing more than the homie Jason X at the very end. If you don't know who Jason X is, I don't know how you wouldn't know who he is, but I want to show you Jason X real quick. Hold up. I gotta go to the images section. Okay. Last thing. I'm gonna show y'all my favorite version of Jason in terms of the look. Boom. Oh! Why won't they show bigger pictures? But yeah, y'all get the gist of it. And he's so badass, bro. I ain't gonna lie to you. He's so badass. Ooh! He badass, bro. That's hard. That's hard. Yeah. So yeah, man, that's pretty much it. That's crazy. All right. Anyways, let me cut this off because I talked way too damn long, but y'all get the gist of it. Shout out to everybody who saw this. Shout out to everybody who saw the news on Friday the 13th. Man, I can't stop looking at the homie Jason. I ain't gonna lie. Oh! Okay. Anyways, thank you for watching. Let me know what you think about this Jason Universe announcement and the Friday the 13th rights dispute. How do you think they should proceed following forward for the future so we can get this film? And once again, shout out to Damien Leone. I hope one day he's able to direct the Friday the film. I said Friday the film. Friday the 13th film, you know, the franchise, because he's alluded that he wants to touch that next after he's done with Terrifier. Anyways, let me know what you think about all this news. Thank you for watching. Salute.